Alright guys, so we're going to do something a little different for this fifth game here. We are going to attempt to live com this and just see how it goes. Um, not going to mulligan this. This hand is really not good, very land heavy. But I'm hoping that means that the cards that we draw are going to be very much in our favor and not lands. So you see here my opponent has mulligan down to 4. That doesn't seem promising for this game. Usually if they get to 4 they just concede, but we'll see how this goes. We are going to use the Evolving Wilds. We are going to search out an island. We already have 2 green mana sources in hand, and this deck doesn't need any more than that. Look at that. We top deck into Coiling Oracle, which we will get to play on turn 2. Nothing better than that. Alright, so that kind of sucks. We didn't get an opportunity to cycle this thicket, but that's why we added the growth chambers to this deck, is so that we have that ability. Alright, so my opponent's first play is going to be an Undo Cleric. That's, I guess, good and bad. We do know that my opponent will be playing allies. Not a great matchup, I guess, for this deck because we do not have so much creature control. We're going to hope he blocks. He doesn't. Now we have the ability, we're going to tap this thicket for mana. We drew the chamber, so we're going to get to return the thicket and cycle it off the mana it produced. This leaves us 2 mana open for things like Rune Snag or the accumulated knowledge that we had beforehand. So that's a pretty nice draw to see out of this thicket. We're gonna bump open my graveyard. I like to keep this open just to keep track of, the Rune Snags or the accumulated knowledge, stuff like that. So now we are going to counter this cleric. I said it a million times now. Anyone who's watched all these videos is probably tired of hearing it. But you want to play that the first one at the most ideal time. Early game is definitely one of those times. Since the first one is only going to cost 2 for your opponent to prevent, getting that down as soon as possible is just going to be all the better. Alright, so we still are drawing into land. Really not what we needed to see. I think I'm actually going to use the knowledge in turn to see if we can't find something else. And we find another knowledge, and we use this one too. Alright, so you see we drew the sandbar here. We are going to play our land finally and use it to cycle the sandbar. And more land, jeez. Not a great draw. You see we've got 3 lands in grave, we've got 4 on the battlefield, and we've got 5 in hand. So that's definitely not something we wanted to see. So now he puts down an island. We're definitely going to go after that at this point in time. We have 6 mana available. We're going to be able to cast the Shambler with Kicker. And we want to target down this island because that's going to start bringing into play the Decker ally. It's also going to bring in that Raptor. My opponent does decide to concede to that, so not, I guess, an ideal game 5. Maybe we'll see. I can pause this and grab another run real quick. Okay, so we are picking up another game here. We'll see how this one goes. Hopefully it all records okay. Opening hand, not too bad. 2 lands. I am going to sit on that. I am on the draw. So it will give us an opportunity to find the forest that we need, and we get it. What I'm actually going to do here is use the Evolving Wilds to hunt out a forest so that I can guarantee the Coiling Oracle on turn 2. This will slow things down a little bit because I have the Growth Chamber, but I'm more than happy to do that. Alright, so my opponent's going to see this Drake. That's great because the Oracle is really one of the better cards to sacrifice for the Drake. Alright, so my opponent is clearly playing black-green Infect. That's going to be a little bit of trouble. We're going to tap out here. Let's get rid of the swamp. I know a lot of the pumps and stuff in this deck are going to be green, but I'm going to gamble and take a chance on the swamp. Most good Infect decks run mono green for the pumps, and if he's running black, I'm assuming that means he's going to be running some of the black creatures. Now I'm going to still hold on to the Simic Chamber, just so that I don't have to discard, and I'm going to play an island here. We'll leave the Oracle at home. We now have the mana available. We're going to play the Drake on the next turn, after blocking the Cyst Bearer. And it does get another swamp. Okay, so that really doesn't help us with that Spreading Seas. Usually you play that and you hope. This is what I was talking about. He does have those black ones in play. So now we are going to put this Drake into play. We'll leave one blue open just to kind of bluff at the fact that we may have a Force Spike or Vapor Snag. Now the thing with Infect is it doesn't do damage and it hurts creatures as -1/-1 tokens. So blocking the Cisbearer to kill it is not going to be so great. You will run into more trouble with these casual versions of the deck as opposed to some of the competitive ones, because the competitive ones have very few creatures. If you handle those few creatures, it's game over. But in the casual versions, they usually run a lot more in the way of creatures that you have to deal with. So we're going to draw some cards, see if I can't find some kind of convenient answer to this. Play that, get that going in the grave as soon as possible, and we'll return a forest. Now, I can attack here. I'm not going to kill the spider, which sucks. We could run into a lot of problems against this deck. Let's see. Alright, I'm going to block the Cisbearer to kill it. And that will still leave me the opportunity to kill the Stinger on the next turn. We kind of want the Drake to die so that we can get this other Drake into play. We are going to take this opportunity to cast a Thermokarst and get rid of his last forest. Hopefully that will slow him down a bit. And we don't have the mana to make any other plays here, so we're going to leave the Drake back. If he attacks with the Stinger, we'll block with it. If not, we got some counter spells. We may have to just take the 4. Yeah, so let's use the Rune Snag here. Just have to F6 this turn. Big mistake on my part. I was assuming we still had the Rune Snag from last game in play, and that was the first one. That's the whole reason I keep the graveyard open. Well, at least this will be a good example for why you can keep this open. Some good look at the misplays that can be made with this deck. We got that Drake into play. And we're going to play a Cartographer to chump block the Wilds. We're at a point where if we can block these two, we get up to 9 counters. Still not very good, but it's all we can do at this point in time to stay in this game. So maybe this is, it'll be a good example as to why the casual versions of this deck can be a lot more troublesome. They usually tend to be more creature heavy. So let's see, we'll block the Cisbearer just because it'll kill it with the Drake, and we'll get rid of the Cartographer. And now we'll still be okay next turn if he doesn't play another creature. Ooh. Alright, things are not looking too good. Play a land. We have to play this Cartographer. As a chump blocker. Now we're at a point where we have to play the Sprout Swarm as a one-time use. We can't buy it back. If we buy it back, we would have to tap one of these creatures, and that would cost us the game. Alright, that's okay. We can counterspell the Disfigure, since we are not going to be able to buy back the Sprout Swarm anyways. We're only going to be able to kill off the flyer. That will at least leave us the Drake as a chump blocker on the next turn. So do that, and then it really doesn't matter here because I can't take any damage to these guys or I lose. Oh man, we are pretty screwed here. We will cycle this to see what we come up with. And it's not going to be an answer. We're only going to be able to block one of these creatures. And he's going to be able to get that last damage. So we're just going to pass the turn, let him take the win. No point in casting any of these other spells. You know, my opinion, player etiquette, game's over, you know, just get it over with and we can both get it on with our lives and on to the next game. So this one didn't go so well. I will lose this, but, you know, at least it shows you, you know, mistakes that can be made, and it will show you kind of the power and the fun of a more casual infect deck. Alright, so I hope you enjoyed these. I will again be throwing all these videos into one kind of playlist for you to see. And if you're watching this just on YouTube, check out the article online, puremtgo.com.